My dear brothers and sisters, imagine for a moment the first light of dawn breaks, and you stand for a brief moment in stillness, quiet, inwardly soft. In that silence you whisper the words of Surah Ya-Seen. You place your hand on your heart and you say, Wasqa al-Arsh, or reflect on it as you feel guided. And in that moment you are telling Allah, here I am, this day is yours. Why do we begin this way? Because every day we live is borrowed time. We awaken from the qabr, the grave of our sleep, and step into the field of our deeds. What if we began not by rushing, checking phones, worries flooding in, but by anchoring our soul in the presence of Allah? What if we began not by the world's agenda, but by our Lord's remembrance? When you recite Surah Ya-Seen in the morning, you are doing more than reading words. You are inviting the blessings of Allah into your day. You are entrusting your plans, your hopes, your tasks to the one who writes the unseen. You are affirming, my day matters because my Lord matters. And so what follows that recitation? Every meeting, every phone call, every moment of haste, every moment of stillness is touched by that opening. The Barakah of all enters. Your time is no longer just time, it becomes a gift. Your work is no longer just work, it can become worship. Your relationships are no longer just transactions, they become opportunities for mercy and kindness. Perhaps you will face the unexpected. Perhaps the day will press you, stretch you, demand of you far more than you anticipated. Yet this first act of remembrance becomes your anchor, the rope that stays firm while the tide of events surges, the voice within that says, Allah, you are with me. You are the beginnings and the... To start your day with the recitation of Surah Ya-Seen is to offer a profound act of intentional surrender. It's more than uttering words. It's entering a sacred dialogue between your heart and your Creator before the world rushes in. When you stand in those early moments of dawn, when the world is still and your soul is unmasked, and you softly call out these verses, you are placing your day into divine hands. You are saying, Oh Allah, I hand over what I can't change. I lean into what I can't foresee. I trust in what you sustain. This act isn't simply ritual. It is the soul's conscience making its first motion of reliance before the rush of tasks, deadlines, and human demands take hold. In that recitation, you are not just turning the page of scripture. You are turning a page in your heart's orientation. You are shifting from the language of anxiety to the language of hope, from the demands of yesterday to the possibilities of this moment. You are acknowledging that your mind might be scattered, your plans uncertain, your emotions heavy. But your Lord is all-knowing, all-merciful. You are opening the day with the words that root you not in what you'll accomplish, but in who accompanies your steps. This simple, humble beginning is a declaration that your day, with all its fragility, is under the watch of one who never tires, who never sleeps, who never abandons. The blessing of this act is subtle but deep. After that moment of remembrance, your day does not simply unfold, it evolves. Every interaction, every challenge, every breath becomes touched by an unseen mercy. When you call upon Him first, what follows changes in texture. Your work becomes a trust you've been given. Your waiting becomes patience with dignity. Your failure becomes an avenue for compassion. Your success becomes a reminder of the giver. By reciting and placing your day in that sacred ledger, you invite His Barakah, His augmentation of what is small into something greater than it appears, His elevation of what is hidden into something meaningful. You awaken to the reality that blessings are not just received, they are entered into by choice. And perhaps what is most transformative is that the ordinary becomes sacred. The mundane meeting, the routine commute, the conversation you might have had 100 times before, they all carry potential for the divine. Because the root has been planted. Remembrance, the heart remembers that it belongs, first and foremost, to someone who cares far beyond the visible. When that seed is sown in the early morning hour, what follows is harvested differently. The day stops simply being a sequence of events and becomes a journey of presence. You walk through time not as if you are chasing it, but as if you are guided by it. You engage in life not as if you are surviving it, but as if you are honoring it. Yes, you will face the unexpected, the car that won't start, the email you dread, the burden that you carried into prayer. But anchored in that morning surrender, You will meet those moments with a heart that remembers. I am not alone. This is not all there is. The verses you recited become like a rope to hold, while the currents of life shift. They remind you that your day is in view of the eternal and your footsteps are witnessed. They remind you that your sorrow is seen, your hope is heard, your striving is counted. And so your trials do not define you. Your weak points do not isolate you. They invite you into remembrance, humility, turning back, rising. Make this your commitment, not only to recite those verses when you awaken, but to pause. Pause before the adrenaline of your phone dings. Pause before the to-do list pulls your soul apart. Pause and breathe, and remind your heart, "O Allah, I seek your guidance for my day. I seek your mercy over what I cannot foresee. I seek your strength for what I am about to face." That moment of stillness becomes the hinge on which the rest of your hours turn. Not because they are perfect, but because they begin with the one who perfects. In this way, the day becomes worship. In this way, blessing becomes inevitable. Not because you achieved a flawless outcome, but because you began by acknowledging your need for the divine. Not because everything went smoothly, but because in whatever came, you had chosen the anchor. Not because you avoided hardship, but because you accepted that in every hardship, He is present. And that awareness changes the narrative. You are no longer simply a passenger in time. You are a vessel of remembrance. So tomorrow, when the dawn light filters through your window, let your heart remember the choice it has to begin with Him. Let your lips part in those verses. Let your mind quiet. Let your soul whisper, "Here I am. My day is yours." And then rise, not with urgency alone, but with the quiet dignity of one who has handed over the day to the most merciful, and walks forward confident that what follows will be touched by that very mercy. There is something sacred about beginnings. The way the world feels before it fully wakes. The quiet moments before the first call of duty, the stillness of dawn that holds a secret known only to the heart that listens. In that silence, the heart whispers its need for direction, for light, for meaning. And what better way to begin the day than with the words of Allah, with Surah Ya-Seen. When you open your eyes to the morning, and your tongue moves with its verses, you are not merely reading, you are returning. You are returning to the source of peace before the world can disturb it, to the source of strength before the world can exhaust it. Every day begins like a blank page, and the first thing you write upon it sets the tone for everything that follows. When the first thing you write is the remembrance of Allah, the ink of that remembrance blesses the entire story that comes after. The Prophet Aif taught us that everything has a heart, and the heart of the Qur'an is Yaseen. To start your day with it is to start with the heart of the Qur'an itself, to begin with life, meaning mercy and light. When you recite it, you are reminding your soul of truths that the world makes you forget, that nothing happens without Allah's command, that every hardship carries wisdom, and that your story is seen even when the world overlooks it. The verses of Yaseen are not just for the tongue, they are medicine for the heart. They reach the spaces where worry hides and where hope flickers dimly. They whisper, "You are not forgotten. Your Lord knows." Starting your morning with Yaseen is not about ritual repetition, it's about spiritual realignment. It's saying, before the day begins, I know who my Lord is, and I know who I am. It's about anchoring yourself before life's winds begin to blow. The world outside will rush you. The deadlines, the noise, the distractions, they will demand your attention. But when you start with remembrance, the heart slows down, even if the world speeds up. You begin the day not as a slave to time, but as a servant of the one who controls it. And the beauty of remembrance is that it transforms everything it touches. The same breakfast, the same work, the same routine can become blessed when your intention is rooted in Allah's remembrance. You may still face difficulty, but your heart will hold a secret peace that no chaos can disturb. This is the Barakah, the blessing that follows the one who starts with Allah. It's a quiet strength, a gentle ease, a sense that even in the mundane, you are walking under the shade of divine care. How different is a day that begins with the Qur'an from one that begins with the world. One starts with the eternal, the other with the temporary. One begins with remembrance, the other with distraction. One begins with peace, the other with pressure. And yet, we are given the choice every single morning to wake and reach for our phone or to wake and reach for our Lord. That one decision can change everything that follows. The tone of the day, the focus of our mind, the state of our heart. When you start your day with Surah Ya-Seen, you are asking Allah to bless not just your morning, but your hours, your efforts, your thoughts. You are planting the seed of remembrance at the start, and every act afterward, if done sincerely, becomes a branch of worship. You drive to work and it's dhikr. You speak kindly to someone and it's sadaqah. You face hardship with patience and its reward, because everything that follows remembrance carries its fragrance. Sometimes people recite Surah Ya-Seen for a specific need, a problem, a prayer, and yes, it is a surah of openings. But beyond that, it's a surah of awakening. It awakens your consciousness to Allah's presence in every detail of life. It reminds you that behind every difficulty is divine orchestration. It teaches you that success is not measured by what you achieve in the world, but by what you preserve in your heart. There's a verse in Yaseen that says, "Indeed, it is we who give life to the dead and record what they have put forth and what they left behind." These words remind you that even the smallest act, the quietest intention, the simplest smile, all of it is recorded. When you begin your day with such verses, you are reminded that nothing in your life is wasted when done for Him. The day you begin with Allah is a day that carries purpose. Even if you stumble, even if you fall, even if you forget, the start itself is a mercy, because beginnings shape outcomes. And when the beginning is surrendered to Allah, the outcome, even if imperfect, carries goodness. So when dawn breaks tomorrow, before your mind fills with the world, let your heart fill with His words. Sit with Surah Ya-Seen. Feel its rhythm soothe your worries, its verses wash over your thoughts. Let it remind you that everything that follows, every step, every task, every breath, is touched by His blessing. Because the one who starts their day with the remembrance of Allah walks through the rest of the day under the umbrella of His mercy. And when the sun sets and you look back on your hours, you will find that the day you began with the Qur'an was not like any other day. It was softer, lighter, and filled with meaning. Because you didn't walk alone. You walked with the one who blesses everything that follows. There is a secret in the early morning, a secret that only the hearts connected to Allah can feel. It is that moment before the world awakens, before the noise of life begins to drown out the whispers of the soul. In that gentle hour, there is a stillness that carries the scent of mercy. It's the time when the heart is closest to truth, when the soul feels its need most deeply. And it is in that sacred silence that one who begins their day with Surah Ya-Seen finds a door opening. A door that leads straight to the heart of divine blessing. When you start your day with these verses, you are not just reciting, you are aligning. You are aligning your thoughts, your energy, your very breath with the rhythm of remembrance. The world may still be sleeping, but the soul wakes fully alive. It's as if the light of dawn enters not just the sky, but also your heart. And as you recite, you can almost feel the verses washing through you, cleansing the anxiety of yesterday, softening the worry of tomorrow. The words of Allah carry healing in their sound, guidance in their meaning, and peace in their remembrance. They don't only reach your lips, they touch the depths of who you are. There is something extraordinary about giving the first minutes of your day to Allah. You are in essence saying, before I face anyone else, I want to face you. Before I seek from this world, I want to seek from you. It is a declaration of love, of dependence, of clarity. And in that declaration, Allah places a secret barakah, a blessing that flows silently into every part of your day. It is the unseen grace that makes things easier, that fills your heart with contentment even when the path is difficult. Because when you start with the words of Allah, you start with light. And light has a way of illuminating every shadow that comes after. Life is full of noise, deadlines, expectations, opinions, responsibilities. Each morning brings a flood of distractions waiting to pull us away from what matters most. But when the first sound your ears hear is the Qur'an, when your heart begins the day in the presence of the divine, something shifts. You begin to see life differently. What once felt heavy becomes manageable. What once seemed meaningless becomes purposeful. It's not that the challenges disappear. It's that your heart learns how to carry them differently. You are no longer trying to control every outcome. You are trusting the one who already has. Surah Ya-Seen reminds you that life is not random. It reminds you that every sunrise is written, every hardship measured, every tear noticed. It calls you to see beyond what your eyes can grasp, to the unseen reality that Allah is always working in your favor, even when it doesn't feel like it. The heart that starts the day with these verses walks into the hours ahead with a quiet strength. It doesn't panic what it cannot control, because it knows who controls it all. Every verse in Ya-Seen carries a heartbeat of faith. It tells stories of prophets, of struggle, of patience, of trust. It reminds you that victory doesn't always come in the form of ease, and that mercy often hides behind the veil of difficulty. When you let those stories enter your morning, you are training your heart to see beyond appearances. You are teaching your soul to say, even here, even now, Allah is with me. And that awareness changes everything. Perhaps this is what it means when we say that Allah blesses everything that follows. It is not only that your day becomes smooth. Sometimes it won't. It is that your perspective transforms. You begin to find sweetness in what once felt bitter. You begin to find meaning in what once felt empty. You begin to see purpose in what once seemed pointless. And in that transformation lies the true blessing, the kind that can only come when the heart begins the day connected to its Creator. There will be days when you wake up weary, days when you don't feel the strength to open the Qur'an, when your mind feels heavy and your heart distant. But even then try, even if it's one verse, even if it's just whispering a single line of Surah Ya-Seen. Because that small act done with sincerity carries the weight of mountains in the sight of Allah. He sees the effort, not the perfection. He responds to the sincerity, not the eloquence. And each attempt brings you closer to the one who never turns away a heart that turns toward him. Starting your day with Surah Ya-Seen is a way of saying, Ya Allah, I choose you before I choose anything else. It's a way of centering yourself before the world can pull you apart. It's a way of remembering that your success today is not measured by what you achieve, but by how close your heart remains to Him. Because the truth is, a day that begins with Allah cannot be lost. Even if everything goes wrong, something deep inside remains steady. That is the gift of remembrance. That is the blessing that follows. So tomorrow, when you open your eyes, don't rush. Let your heart wake before your hands do. Sit in the quiet even for a moment, and let your first words be from the book of Allah. Feel the peace that descends with those verses. Feel the weight of the world lift, even if just a little. And as you rise to step into your day, carry that peace with you. Let it shape the way you speak, the way you work, the way you love. Because when you start with Surah Ya-Seen, you don't just start your day, you start your heart. And a heart that begins with Allah walks through every hour knowing that whatever follows, it is blessed. Dear companions, make this your habit. Let the recitation of Surah Ya-Seen become your morning ritual, your soul's request for light. Let it be the whisper that says, O Allah, bless what I have been granted. Guard what I am about to do, forgive what I neglect. And in doing so, watch how your day unfolds differently. Not because all problems vanish, but because you walk through them differently, with a heart anchored, a purpose aligned, a gratitude awakened. The mundane becomes meaningful. The ordinary becomes sacred. The broken becomes a place of mercy. So as we leave this gathering today, I invite you to pause when you awaken tomorrow. Before the rush, before the scroll, before the noise. Just you, your Lord, and the recitation of Surah Ya-Seen, and then witness how Allah blesses everything that follows. May Allah accept from us, grant us hearts that remember, mornings that begin with light and days that end in His pleasure. Ameen.